Hi there. It's January 5th, and it's through the New Testament in 1 year, and we are on Matthew 5 today. There. Now, this is the Sermon on the Mount. We're doing half of it today and half of it tomorrow. They split it up into 2 days. And this is probably the finest sermon ever preached, right? Because it was preached by Jesus. Okay. Seeing the crowds, he went up on the mountain, and when he sat down, his disciples came to him. And he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, and here they go, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." And you could tear apart every one of these and make a sermon out of each one of them, right? Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Got that? Not the strong, not the warriors, the meek shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Right? We should all be hungering and thirsting for righteousness, right? Blessed are the merciful, for they shall receive mercy. Right? If you are merciful, you shall receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Greek is huioi. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Right? Blessed are you when others revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so they persecuted the prophets who were before you. Right? When I was in a Los Angeles County high school, as a Christian, this was my favorite verse, okay? Matthew 5:11. I had it written everywhere, right? Because you took a lot of stuff in the LA County, and this was back in the 70s, so salt and light. You are the salt of the earth, but if salt has lost its taste, how shall its saltiness be restored? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled under people's feet. Salt was the favorite seasoning then, okay? They used it on everything. And salt is good for you, no matter what medical profession says, salt is good for you and essential, okay? 14, you are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, then it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. Right? Let your light shine. Lots of songs written around that verse, right? Christ came to fulfill the law. Do not think that I have come to abolish the law or the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say to you, until heaven and earth pass away, not an iota, not a dot will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Therefore, whoever relaxes one of the least of these commandments and teaches others to do the same will be called least in the kingdom of heaven. But whoever does them and teaches them will be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I tell you, unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Right? The laws still apply. He didn't take them away. He added to them, but a new law. Love one another, right? Anger. This is Jesus talking. I can make these red letters if I wanted to, but I forgot. You have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders will be liable to judgment. But I say to you that everyone who is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. Wow. Whoever insults his brother will be liable to the council, and whoever says, you fool, will be liable to hell. Right? Raka. So if you're offering your gift at the altar and remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift before the altar and go. First be reconciled to your brother and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you are going with him to court, lest your accuser hand you over to the judge, and the judge to the guard, and you be put in prison. All right. Now that's in Proverbs, okay? That is directly, he is quoting Proverbs here. Okay? Truly I say to you, you will never get out until you have paid the last penny, or shekel, farthing, copper coin. So, there you go. That is Matthew 5, Sermon on the Mount. At least part of it. We'll finish that tomorrow. And just for fun, let's switch over to the Geneva Bible. I always put notes in here, right? Right. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Under the name of poverty, all are such miseries meant as are joined with poverty. Right. Whose minds and spirits are brought under God and tamed and obey God. Poor in spirit. I'm looking for notes here. Blessed are the pure in heart. Fitly, in this word pure, joined with the heart, for as a bright and shining resemblance or image may be seen plainly in a clear and pure looking glass, even so doth the face, as it were, of the everlasting God shine forth, and clear appears in a pure heart. Right. Pure in heart is pure like glass. You can see through it, and you can see God in there, right? Interesting. Interesting footnotes they had in 1599 for the footnotes. You are the salt of the earth. The ministers of the word especially, unless they will be the most caitiff of all, must needs lead others both by word and deed to this greatest joy and felicity of the earth. Your doctrine must be very sound and good, for if it not be so, it shall be not set by and cast away as a thing unsavory and vain. Right? And sooner or later, all these people get found out, right? But if it lost its flavor, wherewith shall it be salted? When shall you have to salt withal? What shall you have to salt withal? And so are fools in the Latin tongue, called saltless, as you would say, men that have no salt or savor or taste in them. Saltless. I've never heard that before. Probably was a saying in 1599, right? You are the light of the world, verse 14. You shine and give light by being made partakers of the true light. Right. 17. Think not that I come to destroy the law or the prophets. Christ came not to bring any new way of righteousness and salvation into the world, but to fulfill that indeed which was shadowed by the figures of the law, by delivering men through grace from the curse of the law, moreover, to teach the true use of obedience which the law appointed, and to engrave in our hearts the force of obedience. Source or force, I can't read that because, wow, cool. Whosoever shall break one of the least of these commandments, and then teach them, right? He beginneth with the true expounding of the law, and settleth against the old, but yet false glosses of scribes, so far as the form abolishing the least commandment of his Father. Least in the kingdom of God. He shall have no place in the church. Right. 21. They've heard it said unto them of the old time, thou shalt not kill. True meaning of the first commandment. Right. Oh, culpable. Wow. He speaketh of the judgment of God under the difference of sins, and therefore applieth his words to the form of civil judgments which were then used. Of judgment. Of that judgment which was ruled by 3 men who had the hearing, and decided of money matters and such other small causes. Have a worthy be punished by the council, by that judgment which stood 23 judges who had the hearing and decided of the weighty matters and matters of life and death, and the highest judges of all were to the number of 71, which had the hearing of most weighty affairs as the matter of the whole tribe, and and or of an high priest or of a false prophet. It's a note for hell. Whereas we read here hell, it is in the text itself, Gehenna, which is a Hebrew word made up of two, and is as much to say as the valley of Hinnom, which otherwise the Hebrew called Tophet. It was a place where the Israelites were most cruelly to sacrifice their children to false gods, whereupon it was taken for a place appointed to torment the reprobates in Jeremiah. So hell was actually a place back then, okay? Gehenna. Remember, they didn't have abortion back then, so when they did evil things, they would burn their kids and sacrifice them instead. Horrible, horrible stuff. Fire. The Jews used 4 kinds of punishments before the government was taken away by Herod. Hanging, heading, stoning, and burning. This is it that Christ shot at, because burning was the greatest punishment. Therefore, in that he maketh mention of the judgment of council and of fire, he showeth that some sins are worse than other sins, but yet they are all such that we must give account for them, and will be punished for them, unless you have Jesus, right? If thou bring thy gift to the altar, okay, listen, and your brother has something against you, yes. He applies all this speech to the state of his time, as there was an altar standing in Jerusalem, therefore they are very foolish that gather thereupon, that we must build altars and use sacrifices. But they are more fools which draw that to purgatory, which is spoken of peacemaking and atonement with one another. Right. Agree with an adversary. Paid the last, utmost farthing. Utmost extremity. So, lots of good notes in the Geneva Bible. So there you go. That is the first half of Matthew 5. Tomorrow we'll do the second half of Matthew 5, 27 through 48. And he's continuing, okay? It's continuing. They split this up in half. I mean, we could do it all together, but it would take too long, so. And there's a lot more. Jesus has a lot more to say tomorrow. And tomorrow, if I remember, I will make the letters red, right? So we'll know Jesus is speaking. So there you have it. That was day 5. Catch up on an email missed, right? You can catch up now because we just started. So, and tomorrow we'll keep going. See you then.